Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Fuck Around Fridays, where when it comes to sex and pleasure, sometimes we don't know what you don't know, so you gotta fuck around and find out. On today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about the Aneros Helix Syn V prostate massager. We do a lot of talking here at Fraser Valley Sex Therapists about vulva owner sexual health, and sometimes our penis owner counterparts, they need some love too. So I want to really talk about this toy because quite frankly, there's not a lot of toys out there for penis owners to amplify their experience as well. So with this is a prostate massager. This is what it looks like. Not too big. I swear it's not as scary as many are thinking. A huge piece of what we do here at Fraser Valley Sex Therapy is reducing shame, reducing stigma. So I really want to put a pin in all of the shame and stigma that comes up around butt stuff. Okay? So, and we hear it all the time. Men that become so men are so conditioned, penis owners so conditioned to fall into this heteronormative lens that says, I can't engage in butt stuff because if I do, that questions my masculinity, it questions my sexuality. None of that is true. And we say that as if it's a bad thing, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. So what we want to do is really just be encouraging all bodies to seek out the pleasure that their bodies are designed for. And the reality is most penis owners are not accessing the pleasure that comes with prostate orgasm. Enter in the Helix Syn V. It does come in a vibrating and a non-vibrating option. From what I gather, the vibrating option is absolutely the way to go. The non-vibrating option can allow for some self-massage. So it essentially looks the exact same. When it's inserted, you just kind of rock your hips back and forth, which you can do with the vibrating option as well. And what it does is it just kind of hits that prostate in ways that, it might not otherwise hit. So when I first originally heard about this toy, it was the owner was talking on a different podcast, and he was talking about how when he used it, when he gave the vibrating option a try, he was actually able to, for the first time ever, have multiple orgasms. And he talked about how, interesting it was because for most penis owners, we know, they hit that orgasm, they ejaculate, and then there's a refractory period, which means that they can't actually keep going. They lose their erection a lot of the time, or at least partially lose the erection. And for most penis owners, that's kind of where they call it quits and they stop playing. So what I love about prostate play, and with this toy specifically, I've noticed it's really effective with this, is it can actually lengthen out the amount of play after ejaculation. So when I asked my husband to kind of give me his lowdown, his vibe on this, no pun intended, he said one of the coolest things for him was learning the difference between orgasming with ejaculation and orgasming on its own. So recognizing that while using this toy, he was able to have an orgasm, he ejaculated, but then to continue breathing into the sensation or to use the toy as an edging experience to bring you closer to orgasm, he was able to get orgasm after orgasm after orgasm without losing the erection. So not only does it feels fantastic to be able to do that and to recognize the difference, that there's different, that orgasming can look different for everybody, but to have longer and stronger ejaculation, and to extend that play period, right? So many people, you guys are coming at me all the time talking to me about this, about how frustrating it is, either when yourself or your partner, when you ejaculate, and then that's kind of the end of the play. So for anyone who's struggling with early ejaculation, and I say early ejaculation as in earlier than what you would like it to be, there is no norm, there is no set amount of time that you should be lasting, so to speak, but if it's not lasting as long as what you would like for it to, this could be a really great option to help extend that. Fantastic during solo play. While you're masturbating, you want to lube it up really, really well. Your anus is not self-lubricating. Can't highlight that enough, exclamation, bold, underline. Your anus will not make its own lubrication. So you do need to use a good quality lubricant. I always recommend water-based lubricants, but you want a good quality water-based lubricant because you do still want it to have some glide. Okay, Okanagan Joy by our friends over at Intimate Wellbeing. Fantastic water-based lubricant. It's going to be safe for your body. It's safe for your toys. Natural, organic, all the good stuff. Fantastic lube. you're gonna want to make sure it's lubricated really, really well. Pop it in. It can also be used well through partner play too. Be mindful though, if you're going to do that. This is one of my husband's big tips. What he wanted to share was, if you're going to use it, sometimes, especially when you're in the beginning stages of learning the difference of what it feels like when you're going to orgasm versus when you're going to ejaculate, if you are in any capacity trying to avoid pregnancy, avoid ejaculating within your partner, maybe that's just not something you're into, please be aware that for the beginning, it may be hard to differentiate between the two if you're using it during penetrative play. Really good during blowjobs, hand jobs, all the fun stuff, just to extend your play and to add different sensations, right? We talk a lot about strengthening those pleasure pathways, and for many people, penis owners especially, I hear it all the time, that often, especially with masturbation happens the same way it's always happened, right? Same hand, same speed, same environment, all of it. So to be able to allow orgasm to transpire in different ways tells our brain that there's not just one path, right? The analogy I use often is, if you're in the middle of the city and you have to drive to work, you're driving the exact same route every single day, it becomes second nature, right? You don't really have to put a lot of thought into it. But then what happens if one day there's construction? And if we translate it back to the analogy of sex and orgasm, if one day you're feeling stressed out and that way of masturbating, that way of having sex, that way of seeking pleasure is just not working, if you don't have a backup route already planned, you're going to be kind of stuck. And what happens with that is we get frustrated, and often we just give up, right? When we can start seeking out pleasure and exploring our bodies in a play-based sense, not just chasing orgasm, but really just breathing into that pleasure, we start to create all these new pathways in our brain that get us to pleasure in different ways, that strengthen it, that tell us that we are sexual beings and that we can seek pleasure in different ways. So highly recommend. He gives us a gush factor of 4. He says it's much better during partnered play, and he gush factor 5 out of 5 recommends it with a blowjob, for the simple fact that the receiver, the penis owner, is able to be there and just be receiving the pleasure. They can focus in on the vibration, which is, like I said, a very different sensation for a lot of penis owners because they haven't had that, nor have they had prostate play per se, as well as just combining it with the feeling of whatever else they're receiving. So, because I love to be able to make these things accessible and just get these into the hands of more people, our good friends over at Intimate Wellbeing, we love them, they love us, they have just been so fantastic. But as soon as I asked them about this toy, they had the non-vibrating version on their site, and I was like, ladies, what are the chances we can get access to the vibrating version? Within a matter of a couple of days, they're like, girl, we got you, we've got your listeners, we've got your followers. It is now on their site, intimatewellbeing.com. And if you use code Fraser Valley Sex Therapist at site, all purchases over $69, you're gonna get 20% off everything. Off your toys, off your lube, off your cleaner. That's another thing. We wanna be cleaning all of our toys, of course. You wanna be taking care of your investment and protecting yourself against bacteria and all of that stuff. If you are using anal toys, you want to make sure that they are cleaned every single time really, really well, and that you're not going between the anus and vagina, especially, without cleaning. So a toy like this, a prostate massager, can be used internally in a vagina as well. I love toys that are kind of cross-body applicable for the simple fact that toys are expensive and we want to be able to use them kind of all around. Now, it might not hit your G-spot as well as some of the other G-spot toys can, but it gives you the option to play with. It can also be used externally as a clitoral vibrator as well. Yeah, good little vibe. I think it's around $130-ish, but then you get your 20% off code, again, over intimatewellbeing.com. They're fantastic. They are so passionate, just like I am, about making sex accessible, making pleasure accessible, and for ensuring that we're using good quality products to do that. Not that toys are needed. in any capacity, but they do just add some flavor, they add some fun. But if you're going to be inserting anything into your body, you want to make sure it's good quality. You want to make sure that things aren't going to fall off. Anything anal, you want to make sure it has a really nice long base. Much wider base. It's going to be a bit narrow and then get bigger because you don't want it to accidentally go up inside. So there's horror stories all over the place. I got them all. So please be mindful, be careful, go slow and low starting out if this is new for you. This toy is registered as something that's good for beginners as well, up to more advanced prostate play. And yeah, who doesn't want more orgasms and more fun and lengthier play times? Head on over to intimatewellbeing.com, use code Fraser Valley Sex Therapist, get 20% off your Helix Syn V. Make sure it's the V one if you're buying. I have had people buy the wrong version and it's kind of a bust. So yeah, have a great Friday, have a great weekend fucking around. Can't wait to catch you next week.